Flexibility in payables financing solutions is very crucial as it takes the time to set it up. So it is a change to an organization to apply a payables financing solution. Now, the market is changing constantly. If you were to have a solution that is not flexible, you will always feel the risk that you decide to go with something that you may like, but you always have this uncertainty if it is still good enough 3 months, 3 quarters, or 3 years from now. Nobody knows. And this is why this flexibility is so important, that if you put something in place, you need banking partners, trusted banking partners, you need typically procurement, you need your treasury department to be convinced. If you put something in place, it should be good for the future, and we're talking about years and potentially decades. This flexibility is difficult to achieve though, because you need to be able to put a relatively complex structure together that allows to apply different products or solutions or measures to a specific supplier in a certain market, in a certain legal environment. So if your setup is not capable of running those very specific solutions, you will not be able to achieve this flexibility that is needed. However, it means that it needs to be very well thought through, and the structure needs to be very resilient to changes. You create predictability by removing uncertainty. A typical traditional supplier financing program would be supply chain finance, which is successful for a buyer when the procurement department of the buyer is able to negotiate longer payment terms. Now, to predict the outcome, you need to be able to predict when your procurement department is able to negotiate those longer payment terms, but you don't know if in 1 year time you're still buying from that same supplier that is now on your list. So there are multiple moving parts, and the more of those moving parts you can remove, the more predictable the outcome is. With a payment with terms solution, you can remove the uncertainty around suppliers and your procurement department, and to a certain degree even the volume that you put through, because it's a solution that is entirely in the hands of Treasury. So Treasury decides when and how much volume to be paid through payment with terms solution, and hence the outcome is much more predictable. Digitalisation or innovation, technical innovation, is extremely helpful in removing the uncertainty as well. What we do is we partner with a data analytics platform that allows us to predict the outcome of a supplier-buyer negotiation before they get into it. So based on the data that this provider has, we can predict how a supplier will react on the demand of longer payment terms. And with this information, we are able to guide our buyer client much, much better and help him to focus on a certain group of suppliers and maybe neglect a group of suppliers where we already know that the outcome will most likely be that this supplier will not accept the longer payment term. This supplier then will be served through a different component of our solution. We hope that one of the outcomes is that payables financing solutions are more accepted in the market. If we can show the flexibility and the option that one program can give, the barriers to sign up for a program should be lower. So if a buyer knows that even if there was a new EU regulation on payment terms, even if our procurement shifts from buying in Italy to buying from China or the other way around, even if this was to happen, we can change the setup of our supplier financing program in a way to properly react and still achieve our objectives. So I hope and I believe that with that information, the resistance to put a new program in place will be lower, especially from the procurement end, especially when we can take, or the buyer can take, the pressure off procurement that they need to predict the outcome of the program themselves rather than some independent data. And this is a resistance that we have seen in the past, and this should go away.